Welcome, Craig.
Thank you very much, Sue. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for your time today. Let me just share my screen just so I can share my presentation with this morning. Yes, so good morning. Thank you for your time today. Today we're going to be talking about delivering icon to the teenage audience and how we've utilised our experiences here in British Forces Cyprus to deliver icon to our local communities. A little bit about me first. So I'm a registered learning disability nurse and social worker by background. I'm currently working as a specialist community public health nurse within school health since 2013. I'm currently employed by SSAFA Community Health within British Forces Cyprus. I'll touch on SSAFA a little bit in our next two slides, supporting British Defence Children's Service schools. And Defence Children's Service schools essentially is a cluster of schools based in overseas locations where we have service personnel, families, children, and young people. And most importantly for me, and the thing which resonates with me the most is that I'm a dad of two boys, ages 3 and 9. And as a dad of two boys, with my firstborn especially, as a dad and a health professional who felt like I had the tools, the education, the knowledge of child development, I'm not embarrassed to say I would sometimes find it, frustrating. I would sometimes find it very difficult to soothe my firstborn child, and I'd often.
Hi. Could all mute your cameras, please? I think we've just got a bit of back noise. Thank you.
It's okay. So yes, so going back to as a dad, my own personal experiences, despite having all the knowledge, tools, skills, education around child development, babies, from health visiting to school health, I put a lot of pressure on myself as a dad to get it right. And when I couldn't soothe my own firstborn child, it would make me feel a little bit worthless. And this is why the message and icon really resonates with me now as a dad, and also as somebody who's educating others, because I had all that information, all that knowledge, all those tools, and still I struggled. So who is SSAFA? So SSAFA stands for Soldiers, Sailors, Air Force, Families Association. We're a tri-service military charity which supports service personnel, veterans, and the families. By tri-service, we mean Army, Navy, and RAF. We also have a commercial arm which provides community health services to military families posted overseas and social work services to RAF personnel in the UK, both under contract to the Ministry of Defence. And our vision and mission are there at the bottom. A little bit of information on British Forces Cyprus. On the right, you can see Cyprus, the lovely island of Cyprus on the right. And those dotted locations are our military area locations where the community health care team delivers our health services to entitled personnel and the families across the island. As you can see, they're quite spread out. And on the left, you can see how the community healthcare locality team looks. So at the top there, we've got midwives, health visitor assistants, school nurses, child health nurses, community children's nurses, speech and language, dietitian, dietetic assistant, CAMS, business support, podiatry, orthoptist, and community staff nurses. We're really lucky to be able to work so closely together as well. And in school health, it's absolutely fantastic to have access to the array of professionals that we have within community health. Which gets me on to my first point, why target teenagers? So I feel that there's so many opportunities to embed within the current curriculum drivers through RSE, relationships, sexual education, PSHE, personal, social health, economic education, and formerly SMSC, which some schools still deliver, which is around spiritual, moral, social, and cultural education. We already have those curriculum drivers in process, these statutory curriculum drivers that we can tap into, and schools are more than happy for us to engage and work with them as well. So it's a great opportunity to deliver messages of icon through education. And the simple, effective messaging allows opportunities, the flexibility of opportunities to deliver it in a multitude of areas, such as classroom sessions, assemblies, lunch times, breakout sessions, awareness days, There's so many opportunities to deliver within the school and community environment. We're really lucky. I can deliver the icon message within a 30-second consultation, to a 2-minute drop-in, to a 5-minute debate on the playground, to a 10-minute assembly, to a 40-minute lesson plan. There's not really one way to do it. We utilize all these aspects of education to drip feed the information to our students. And one of the most important aspects for me as a public health nurse, first and foremost, is targeting future adults and parents, which we're able to do through schools. We're able to look at those future parents of tomorrow and instill messages now. And many of you here on the chat today can probably think back to a time in your education or as a teenager where somebody, an adult, a teacher, a favorite teacher, a notable person has said something that's really resonated with you, a classroom session that you really remembered. One that you might have remembered for the wrong reasons, but you remember it nonetheless. Now, I want Icon to be that message for future adults and parents. I want them to go back when these young people are in adulthood, maybe having a baby for the first time, second, third, fourth time, and I want them to think about the message of Icon when it's 4 o'clock in the morning, the stress, the baby's crying, they don't know what to do. I want them to think back to those conversations, those hard hitting conversations, those simple, effective messages of Icon. And as school nurses, we're ideally placed to deliver Icon messages within the school. We're known to the school and the community. We're trusted by the schools and the community. We're already engaged in health education, health promotion throughout the community, not just schools. And we're extremely lucky that we are that branch between health and education. We are really fortunate. And I feel that we're really valued by schools as well. The visibility and accessibility of our service really gives us that power to engage young people and deliver messages, public health messages, which can support them not just now, but in later life as well. So from a service family context, what you have to consider here is that many service children, young people may experience times when they might have to take on additional care and responsibilities in the household, such as when a parent's deployed away from the family home. So deployment could be a training exercise. It could be going to a war-torn country to support. It can last for days, weeks, months, even years. And this is the nature of military service, essentially, which all our service families will be exposed to. As a result of this, many young people in especially overseas locations may have to step up and support childcare arrangements, babysitting duties, because they don't have access to the extended family which they might have in the UK. On the basis, as a family, you're quite limited in support. Essentially, those great big family networks in the UK, you're out here, and it can be quite isolating at times. There's a community aspect, but it's not like having a grandparent down the road, an aunt, an uncle, a brother, a sister, a family friend close. So what we gain in community, we do lack in that extended family support as well, which I think can be essential, especially when you're having a baby for the first time as well. And also for the older young people, paid employment out here in British Forces Cyprus is quite limited. So babysitting is an area where young people can start to earn a little bit of money for themselves, etc. And that's a real catchment area for these young people. And this is why the messages of Icon are so important, because we can get through to them at that age and it's pertinent to them as well. So as a result of service, returning personnel, so those who are returning from a training exercise, war, deployments, will have to reintegrate back into the family home. And this isn't always straightforward. Imagine, set the scene, you and your partner have just had a newborn baby. Your chain of command requires you now to go on exercise in the jungle for 3 months, away from the family home with minimal contact. So that newborn baby, you're away for 3 months. Who knows what you're exposed to? You're trained to deal with stressful experiences, environments, but then you're coming back into the family home. And then what you may find is, you may find that, one, you feel the need that you need to support your partner because you've been away for so long. So there may be a little bit of guilt there.
Messages for all of us.
I think so, yeah.
Sorry, can you just put yourself on
I
mute
can,
there?
yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Yes, so those returning personnel who are coming back to the family home, who knows what they've been exposed to, stressful experiences, environments as well. And you've got a three, you've gone from having a newborn baby to a 3-month-old, and babies change rapidly. So you might start feeling again that guilt of wanting to support the family, the fact that you might not feel like you know your child or have those attachments or bonds with your child, that could bring on stress. Okay, so our service personnel again could be at risk of this. So it's so important that we share messages within the community as well as a result of the service. Service personnel are trained for these, and I go back to train for these stressful experiences, environments. They've been trained to serve on a battlefield in stressful situations, but yet the straw which breaks the camel's back could be at 3 a.m. when a baby's uncontrollably cried and then they're unable to soothe it. They wanted to take pressure off the partner, but they're unable to. They're putting extra pressure on themselves because they feel like they have to get it right. So I just want you to consider that from a service family context. And again, going back to some of those unique experiences associated with service life, which could cause potential for increased stress, including frequent transitions. It's not unusual for our service families to, especially within the army, to move around quite frequently. Location, home, job role, school, deployments, specific military duties whilst on island. And I guarantee if you look at some of the most stressful life events that a person can experience, many of our service families will experience those over and over again every 2 years on average, like Groundhog Day. So the likelihood of increasing risk of stress increases again. So what we did within the schools, so using the Icon lesson plan and the student handbook, again, that's on the Icon website. I'm sure Sue can post a link in the group. There, we targeted year 10 and 13 students who are already engaged within statutory RSE program. And we targeted this age group essentially because this was our catchment age. These were the older siblings, the babysitters, the community leaders, the teenagers that the younger teenagers looked up to, and they were already engaged with an RSE as well. So as a statutory requirement of the curriculum, we were able to filter the message of Icon through that curriculum driver as well, which was great. Not just engaging with schools, we also looked towards the community and local youth services, and we were able to deliver in local youth services. And we used opportunistic learning as well with some of our sessions at youth services. For instance, on the back of a first aid session I did at Youth Club, we started to ingrain and intertwine some of the message of Icon. Additionally, in another session that we did around contraception with some of the older teenagers, talk came on about babies, and then we could again intertwine the messaging of Icon within that curriculum learning outside of school. So again, it within school and within the community as well, which I think is really, really important. Going back to opportunistic learning, we targeted year 6 to year 13. And by opportunistic learning, that's the learning where I didn't specifically go and do the lesson plan or the handbook with these age groups. What we did here was make every contact count. So for instance, with the year 6s, I'd be going in to deliver sessions maybe on puberty, body changes, having babies, conception. What a great time to bring in these messages and have these conversations. And not specific to Icon, but very pertinent to Icon when we're talking around emotional health and well-being with our students and managing stresses, stressful life events. Who can you go to? Who can you go for support? Healthy relationships. Again, we can intertwine that curriculum learning and the message of Icon. They complement each other. And because of the simple, effective messaging, it couldn't be easier, which I found a real strength of Icon. One of my favorite ways to share information and generate discussion and debate is break time. It's 10-15 minutes of my time. And what I'd do essentially is I'd throw a crate grenade into one of the most populated areas of the school where I know there's a catchment area of maybe year 10s, year 9s, year 13s. I think, okay, armed with nothing but a whiteboard and a board marker, and on the whiteboard there could be a fact, a did you know fact, or a question for people to think about what's the impact of shaking a baby. Or I could go into further sort of critical analytical debate questions like, those who were found guilty of causing traumatic brain injury to a baby were probably criminals before. Discuss. Starting to get people thinking that actually stress can affect us all. We're all susceptible to stress and emotional health and well-being issues, and it's being conscious of that. And when we do need support and when we are at breaking point, to reach out, so we're able to utilize break times and natural discussion and debate, which I feel is really good, because we're empowering young people. We're talking to them on a level. We're not talking at them in a class. We're engaging them. They're engaging me. We're learning from each other. It's a transactional process, which I find really valuable. And this ties in nicely to the school assemblies. So school assemblies for us within school health, a key tool within our armory. An assembly has maximum reach, minimal output. And although it might not be the best way to engage the whole audience, you'll engage a significant proportion. And those conversations that you've had during assembly lead on to the break time discussions, get young people's brains ticking, so they're thinking about the themes, the topics that we're talking about, and they feel more confident to approach you at drop-in, at break time, to discuss some of these issues or ask a question. And I think that's significant. The things that we can do as school nurses within schools and communities is so valuable. And most importantly for me here is we ensured that any session that we delivered around ICON was relevant to the target group audience. We know research tells us that teenagers are more likely to learn when the learning is pertinent, when it's relevant to them. So we ensured within our sessions, we brought it back to a service family context. We brought it to a British Forces Cyprus context. We brought in deployments, additional stressors, single parent families, parents away on exercise, coming back home. We made sure it was extremely relevant to our target group audience, and hopefully that instilled the learning even more so. And here's what some of the young people said. So some of the direct quotes that we got. Ellis's story was really sad and most importantly, preventable. Those of you who aren't familiar with Ellis's story, it's on the website. And again, I'm sure Sue will post a link in the chat. But students found that really hard hitting and relevant. I like how simple the message is. I'll remember this. And that goes back to that simple, effective messaging. I'm not standing up in a class for an hour talking about one subject. The message is simple, it's straightforward, it's pertinent to everyone we talk to about it. It's relevant to everybody in the room. Everybody in this room right now, it's relevant to you guys, whether you've got children yourself or you know people with children, or you work with children or you work with families. It's relevant to us all. And the most hard-hitting comment for me, and really reaffirmed the learning, was from a 15-year-old male, so a year 11 young man. And he said, when babies cry, that's just them communicating with us. Sometimes we won't know what they want, but that's okay. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. And going right back to the first couple of slides where I talked about my experiences as a dad, I think as a first-time father, this is what I needed to hear, and this is what I have now, and this is what I'm able to share with young people today. And I hope this is what young people are able to share with the friends, with the families, with the partners in the future. And that's why ICON is so important and relevant. Thank you for your time. I'm here for any questions. There's a couple of links there to our organisation, to SSAFA, to our community health website, and to our Facebook pages if anybody's interested. But thank you very much for your time.
Hi, that was great, Craig. Thank you very much. It was really powerful presentation. I love the fact that you obviously, relate it to being a dad and all the isolation that army personnel, military personnel have, and all the different opportunities that you're not just targeting one specific session. You're looking at all the different opportunities and really engaging, like you say, the teenage brains and learning from each other. I really found that a really good session. Thank you. Sue, hi, Sue.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Craig. Thank you so much for that. And it's fantastic to hear how you've drawn your personal experience that has kind of galvanized your passion for your job and more specifically for getting this message out for Icon, which I think is actually brilliant. I love, like Sue said, that just your opportunistic bits and pieces. They're like, okay, that'll fit in there. We'll just drop it in there. And that's what I'd really encourage everybody else to think about. And lots of people are doing in different sectors, but you've just sort of drawn it out there as actually, if there's an opportunity here, you don't have to say, well, it's not at this touch point, or it's not at that, or I don't have that video. You can just say, how are you coping with crying? Or, you know, do you know about infant crying or anything? You know, you can just drop it into your conversation. So I think that's really fantastic. And I think that's a lesson for everybody. And the stress that I suppose military families face that you have talked about, have there been, I know there's been some child safeguarding practice reviews, but have you heard from any adults as part of your job about how they've found a crying baby to be yet another stressor and that they have to cope with?
Again, I don't have any specific research on that at the minute or any information, but I know Mel and other people in SSAFA who collate that information will probably have that information for you as well, and we'll be happy to share it.
Yeah. The quote from that 15-year-old lad, we're drawing that one out. Anything like that you come across, please let us know. It would be smashing it sometime if we could. Not suggesting we all trip over to Cyprus, but it would be lovely to do an interview if we could if you could film or, you know, record yourself talking to a group of young people. That would be really powerful as well. So thank you so much, Craig. That's brilliant.
I think that's something we can do, Sue.
Be amazing.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for allowing me to present today as well.
Yeah, no, that was absolutely brilliant. I'll put the link in the chat, but if anybody has any questions and thinks of anything after today, please do just email me and I will make sure Craig gets the information. Oh, Rebecca's got a question. Hi, Rebecca.
Hiya. Sorry, I did just have a question. I'm from the health improvement team in Halton in Northwest, and we've been in the last school year we included some Icon workshops with Year 10 pupils as part of our Healthy Schools programme. And I liked how you were talking about sort of all those opportunistic opportunities to get that message across. That was a bit of a mouthful. And I was just wondering, obviously from your perspective, it's like from the school nursing angle. Now, some of our team are infant feeding support workers, and they went in with some school nursing staff to sort of co-deliver that message. And I'm just wondering whether yourself or anyone else is aware of people in other roles being able to go in and deliver that message, and you know, in terms of what people need to know. You know, I don't know whether there's as such a sort of train the trainer that people need to do, but in terms of getting the wider workforce, I'm even thinking, you know, in PSHE, school staff could cover this if they felt like they knew enough. Has anyone sort of branched out wider from the school health team to deliver the message? It's a big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's really good, Rebecca. I mean, it's a really, really important question. And for us, I mean, within public health, it's about looking at our community assets. So school nurses are ideally placed with the schools, but doesn't always mean that we're the only people. So me as a school nurse, I'm also almost like a linchpin with other services, and I'm forever bringing other services into school and supporting, because we have to look at our community assets. And the more people, the more services that are all singing from the same hymn sheet, the better services we can provide, the consistent messages we can provide. But yes, I mean, I'm really fortunate to work with, again, really closely with CAMS, children's services, health visitors, midwives, community children's nurses. And again, I encourage them all to support deliver welfare service, army welfare, things like that. So we utilize our whole community assets and look at delivery. So we do that on British Forces Cyprus level as well. But no, really good question.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, I think it's something that I think, in Halton, we're really sort of thinking about how we can just continue to drip feed that message because, last year we looked at the sort of the lesson plan that was shared. I think it somewhere else in Lancashire who'd been
Yeah.
delivering it in secondary schools. And we thought, well, we'll give that a try. And it was really well received. But trying to get schools to sort of commit to letting us come in and do that specific workshop isn't always feasible. But those opportunities to look where we can drip feed it. So like you saying about the puberty sessions, we could sort of talk about, just including it or all those opportunities. So I found that really useful to listen to how you've been sort of bringing that message in. So thank you for that.
I'd say look at your community assets as well. So look at what's available in your community, and the school is a hub. We know we've got the largest catchment area with children in a defined area in schools, so that's why it's naturally school nursing in schools. But what I'd say is anywhere that we can deliver opportunistic learning, we look at those community assets and we utilize them, because it's a message that it's extremely relevant, it's pertinent, it's simple, it's effective. Schools love having people in as well. And sometimes it's not about mapping the day where you're coming in to do a classroom session. Sometimes it's about just being in the playground. Like I say, with a Craig grenade, you sort of throw yourself in a situation, a group of year 10 students, and you just awkwardly sort of put your board down and say, right, okay, let's go. Teenagers are inquisitive. If you're visible, you're accessible in that environment, I guarantee, as a new face, they'll come up to you and say, "Who are you? What are you here for? What's on your board?" And then you've engaged them. You've got them already. I'm not there to talk at you. I'm there to engage you. And that's where your opportunities lie with opportunistic learning. And you can do that anywhere in the UK. My background in school nursing before coming out to Cyprus, very close to Halton. It was Liverpool and Sefton. So I know the areas really well. But it's the same ethos. It's being visible, accessible in those communities. And I'm aware of the situation with staffing and caseload numbers. But again, we have schools and we are able to be visible and accessible to allow that messaging, that proactive support. But no, thank you very much for your question, Rebecca.
Cheers. Thank you.